All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most fundamental questions in all of economics. We're on a quest to unlock the secrets that have shaped the wealth of entire nations. I mean, this is a question that's been bugging economists for centuries, right? Going all the way back to Adam Smith. Why is it that some nations just take off and prosper while others seem to get left behind? The answers, as you'll see, have changed a lot. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big mystery itself, check out the first clue that everyone thought was the answer, and then see what was missing. After that, we'll get to the real secret sauce. And finally, we'll see how a country like Azerbaijan is trying to use all this stuff right now.
All right, first up, let's set the stage for this huge economic mystery.
So yeah, this is pretty much the ultimate puzzle in economics. For ages, the smartest minds have been trying to figure out what exactly allows one country to thrive while another just doesn't. And hey, this isn't just some boring academic exercise, right? The answer changes millions of lives. So the first big idea that came along seemed almost, well, too simple. It was this very mechanical, straightforward solution where growth was something you could just build, piece by piece. It was called the Herod-Domar model, and it was a huge deal back in the day. The idea was basically this. A country's growth is all about how much it saves and invests. You save more, you can invest more in things like factories and machines, and boom, you get more growth. It was seen as this simple, powerful feedback loop. Think about it like that cake analogy on the screen. Want to make a bigger cake? Simple. Just add more flour and eggs, more capital. The logic was super attractive. Hey, we want 5% growth? Okay, let's just figure out how much investment we need and get to saving. But when people looked at the real world, it turned out this recipe was missing something pretty important. And that brings us to the next part of our story. Because when economists actually ran the numbers, they found this huge, unexplained gap. Capital just wasn't enough. There had to be something else, some kind of miracle ingredient driving things. This is where Robert Solow enters the picture, and, by the way, wins a Nobel Prize for his work. His model was a game changer. He showed that, yeah, capital and labor are important, but you can't just keep piling on more and more machines and expect growth to continue forever. You hit a wall. He discovered that the real engine of long-term growth was this mysterious thing he called technological progress. Now, going back to our cake analogy, Solow basically figured out that you don't just need more ingredients, you need a better recipe. That's the technology part. But here was the big catch. His model couldn't explain where the new recipe came from. It was treated as exogenous, which is just a fancy way of saying it was like magic. It just appeared, like it fell out of the sky. So we were a step closer, but the biggest question was still unanswered. So that led to the next big breakthrough. Economists finally started to look inside the economy itself to find out who was writing these magical recipes. And this is where we get to endogenous growth theory, thanks to people like Paul Romer and Robert Lucas. They finally cracked the code. They argued that growth isn't magic at all. It's endogenous. It's generated from within the system. It comes from things we choose to do, investing in education, funding R&D, and creating an environment where smart people can come up with new ideas. The magic wasn't from the outside. We were making it ourselves. And this table just lays it all out, right? The old view? Technology is a mystery miracle. The new view? It's something we create. This totally changes the game. It means long-term growth isn't about getting lucky. It's about having the right strategy.
So this new understanding brings up a really deep question, a real chicken or the egg kind of problem. Are things like innovation and education the causes of growth? Or is it possible we've been looking at this all wrong?
And this quote from North and Thomas just nails it. Innovation, education, capital accumulation are not the causes of growth. They are growth itself. Wow, think about that for a second. A country that's growing is a country that's doing this stuff. It's not waiting for a spark, it is the fire. That's a massive mental shift. Okay, so that's a whole lot of theory, right? But how does it actually play out in the real world? Well, let's take a look at Azerbaijan and see how they're putting this modern growth theory into practice. You can see that Azerbaijan's recent national strategies are basically a textbook application of this endogenous growth model. There's a big shift in focus. It's not just about natural resources anymore. It's about creating growth from within, because they recognize that in the 21st century, real sustainable wealth comes from knowledge and ideas. And if you look at their strategic goals, it's all right there. High-tech sectors, human capital, an innovation-based model. It's like a checklist taken straight from the endogenous growth playbook. They're clearly focused on knowledge and tech, not just piling up more capital like in the old days. And this isn't just talk. It's literally a key national priority all the way to 2030, creating competitive human capital and a modern innovation space. That language shows a serious long-term plan to build those internal engines of growth. Smart, skilled people and a place where their ideas can actually take off. And they're not just hoping it happens. They're actively trying to make it happen with real policies. We're talking financial support for local innovators, tax breaks for cool new projects, and building international connections. They're trying to create the perfect soil for innovation to grow. But of course, a plan like this is never easy. There are always hurdles, and one of the biggest ones is the brain drain. It's one thing to educate brilliant people, but it's another thing to give them the opportunities they need to stay and build the future at home. That's a critical piece of the puzzle they have to solve. So, in the end, the whole journey from economic theory to real-world success is always an ongoing story. The ideas are solid, the blueprint is there. But the big question remains, can Azerbaijan successfully use innovation to write its next economic chapter? It's a fascinating transformation to watch.